For decades, one unassuming country music bar in Kentucky has been at the center of some of the most terrifying paranormal stories ever told. This is a place surrounded by whispers of murder, curses, restless spirits, demonic encounters, and even an alleged exorcism that would forever change the building's reputation. We'll explore the gruesome murder that started it all, the whispers of a gateway to hell beneath the building, and the stories that continue to haunt investigators, employees, and anyone brave enough to walk through its doors.
Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Bazaar. I'm Jessica.
I'm Montana.
And if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. We've been waiting for you.
We've been waiting.
On our podcast, we dive into the bizarre, spooky, and unexplained. From true crime and paranormal encounters to strange mysteries, we explore the stories that don't quite fit anywhere else. Each week, one of us takes a deep dive into the research while the other reacts in real time. So, if you're into weird shit and good vibes, you're in the right place. New episodes every Sunday. Be sure to follow and subscribe. Just one update that I can think of for you guys is we had previously told you that we were on Remain Ramon.
It's going to be a long night.
But we were on Remain Rome Returns podcast with Christian and Damien, and they just released the episode. If you guys are interested in watching us over there, you can go check it out. But other than that, I think we're ready to just jump right in. I'm very excited about this one.
Oh, buckle up, guys. It's going to be, it's a lot of information. It was hard to leave stuff out because it's just such a fascinating, creepy story. I believe pretty much everything, almost everything. I always love to leave it up to you guys and interpret if you think that it's real or not.
The fact that you believe most of it's true makes me even more excited.
I've never heard of this, actually. I haven't listened to podcasts on it. I've never heard the story of it. I'm not proud of how I found out about it at Zach Bagans Museum, but it's a really cool museum. I'm sorry, I hate him, but it's a cool museum. And I never heard of it. And he has his own little space there, his own little exhibit, and I found it very interesting. So I kind of wanted to do a deep dive on it. So a deep dive I went, and kind of like you said last week, we just wanted to get Willow's Weep out of your system. This is how I feel. I just want to get this story out of my system because I've been working on it for quite some time now. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started.
Let's do it.
The main source of information I used was from this book called Hellgate: The True Story of Bobby Mackey's Music World by Jeremy Bombosh. And I will put it in the show notes, but his book stuck out because he said the events described in the book that he wrote are drawn from court records, investigation reports, documented witness testimony, and like public records. So he has a lot of information to back it up, basically. And his book was really good. And so, like I said, I took a lot from it and I actually left a lot out of it. And Jeremy went to Bobby Mackey's himself and he spoke with Bobby Mackey himself. And there are chapters of their dialogue, and the things that Bobby says about this place from his point of view are so fascinating and they're so unsettling. It's creepy. And Jeremy also talked to some witnesses of things that have happened. So this man went really far down the rabbit hole with this one. So again, highly recommend the book. I'll put it in the show notes. I got it from Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. It's worth a read. So there is a sign before you enter the bar that says, "Warning, this establishment is purported to be haunted. Management is not responsible for any actions of any spirits, entities, or persons not of this world." Bobby Mackey is the one that put up the sign himself. He said he put it there because people needed to know. The bar is located in Wilder, Kentucky. It's not there anymore. They just moved, but we'll get into that at the very end of the story.
This is a place that's still in business.
Yes, he just moved the location. And honestly, it is not the bar itself that's haunted. It is what is underneath the bar. The place has been many things before, and we will get into all of that, but it's something specific underneath the property.
Ooh.
So I want you to visualize here. I'm going to try to set a picture for you guys. All right. You go up to the bar, you read the sign. You're going to picture a dimly lit country bar. Has wood paneled walls, neon beer signs, and decades of memorabilia covering nearly every surface. So you got like photos and license plates, frame records, faded signs. Like a dive bar, right? There's a large dance floor in front of the stage where Bobby Mackey and other country bands regularly performed. There's a long bar that serves drinks. And the typical people they get are line dancers, biker locals, and the ghost tour guest. And it wouldn't be a good old country bar without a mechanical bull, which it became one of the bar's signature attractions. And so you got to picture the low ceilings and a smoky, weathered atmosphere. Especially, this was before indoor smoking, before they banned it. So imagine the room smelling of smoke, giving it an authentic, old school, like a Roadhouse feel. Every time I think of Roadhouse, I think of Family Guy. Roadhouse.
This is reminding me of the place I used to hang out when I was a kid. Well, I was in high school. You could still smoke. It was so gross in there. Like, just you couldn't see. It just looked like a haze. So that's how I'm picturing it.
Oh yeah, the hygiene of the bar sounds fantastic. You won't catch a disease or anything. So, do we have a feel of kind of like the dive bar? There's no Patrick Swayze here though, so he can't kick people out.
Fun fact, Tony was a bouncer once.
Seriously? He seems too passive. I could just picture him going up to someone, like tapping them on the shoulder. "Excuse me, excuse me, you need to leave. Thanks."
No, there's a whole nother side to him. He wants you to think that.
Hey, good for Tony. All right. So long before the bar was a honky tonk, long before it was a casino, long before it was a roadhouse for truckers to come drink away all their problems, it was a slaughterhouse. For decades, it was said that the blood of animals ran so thick and so constant that it carved its own channel into the earth.
So were they pigs, hogs?
Yes.
Synchronicities just keep on keeping on. If you know, you know.
The blood would drain down into a well beneath the building. And this well was so deep and so dark that when workers finally sealed it in the 1950s, they poured concrete into it, but they weren't sure if they've actually reached the bottom. Now we're going to go all the way back to when this started. And that's going to start with a 22-year-old girl named Pearl Bryan. And Pearl's body was found in a field in Fort Thomas, Kentucky on February 1st, 1896, and her head was missing.
Oh.
So Pearl was from a good family, and because of that, her disappearance drew a lot of attention. So, according to the coroner noted in his report, that the cuts on her body were so clean and deliberate that you could even say they were surgical. So, whoever had taken her head knew exactly what they were doing. She actually knew her killers. Her killers were Scott Jackson and Alonzo Walling. They met Pearl at the Ohio College of Dental Surgery in Cincinnati. So, this actually explains the surgical cuts on her body. And Jackson's pregnant.
Wasn't there surgical cuts with the Black Dahlia case too?
Yeah. So they
That's what I
believe that
thought.
person knew what they were doing too. That's why they think he was some kind of doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
Pearl arrived in Cincinnati on January 28th, 1896, and she came by train. Scott Jackson, he met her at the station, and unfortunately, she thought Scott was going to help her. They went to a boarding house, and that's when Alonzo joined them for the second night. And the trial testimony reconstructed the sequence of events like the best they could, trying to detail what happened. And before Jackson and Walling took Pearl to the field she was found in, they administered cocaine to her because it was confirmed by the coroner's examination. So they drugged her up with cocaine. And Pearl lost consciousness at some points on the night on January 31st, and she just never regained it.
It must have been a lot of cocaine because that's an interesting choice of drug. Like, I'm guessing they intentionally were drugging her so that they could do things to her, right?
Yeah, and I will mention that
Okay.
in a little bit. So, trigger warning on that for abortion. They did an amateur abortion they attempted in the boarding house, and that's why I also believe they drugged her up with cocaine. They hired a cab driver to take them across the river into Kentucky, and they don't know if Pearl was conscious or unconscious for that. And they talked to the cab driver, and the cab driver was just like, yeah, she seemed unwell, but it wasn't my business, so I stayed out of it. I'm like, okay. So the main question was, what did they do with the head? And the head exactly wasn't missing. It was offered.
Well, that's setting things up for disaster.
It's just the beginning. And the identification of Pearl's body was through her shoes. She had her good shoes on. They were custom made by a cobbler in Greencastle with the detail and the stitching that the cobbler recognized when investigators brought him the photograph. And I don't know why I think that part is so sad. So when investigators found Jackson and Walling, they found dental tools that had not been properly cleaned. They found the cocaine. They found the correspondence between Jackson and Pearl letters. They documented the pregnancy, the promises, the arrangements to meet.
That just pisses me off.
Yeah,
This happens far too often.
it's horrible. So the well that I mentioned earlier beneath what would become, as we know, Bobby Mackey's Music World sat less than a mile from where Pearl Bryan's body was found. So this area, it was a place known for a loose network of individuals, as you will, who practiced what the newspapers of the time referred to as occult ritual. And these were all kinds of men. Some of them were educated, some of them were very professional, who had built a good practice. They required high levels of intelligence. But to practice this type of offering, as you will, you had to have the highest level of initiation, and that was offering blood. And I'm not talking about animal blood. And so, as you can guess, Jackson and Walling were connected to this network, because in Jackson's room, they did find evidence of him being associated with this group of men. It was never determined to what capacity, because the individuals who could have helped testify did not, almost like they weren't allowed to. And on March 20th, 1897, Jackson and Walling, they stood at the gallows. They were even offered their lives in exchange for the location of Pearl Bryan's head. They just looked at each other like there was a silent knowledge passed between them. They stayed silent, and then they dropped. So whatever secret they were protecting, it died with them.
That's dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Again, that was 1897. So we're going to fast forward a couple years, and this is going to be the early 1900s. And now the slaughterhouse was built on this site. So for 4 decades, the blood of thousands of animals, and I hate saying this, ran in channels cut into the concrete floor and it drained down into the well. It's not, as you say, a ritual, but blood is blood, if you're catching my drift. The slaughterhouse workers reported strange things, and the animals would go quiet in a way that was different from the ordinary fear quiet of creatures approaching the end of their lives. Several workers reported that animals brought near the well would not move at all, and their eyes would show white, and their breathing would be rapid and shallow and would not move no matter what the worker did. So they wouldn't move when the workers used various instruments. They were just so reluctant to move, like they were scared. It's like they would just
Aww.
stand by the well and listen.
Poor babies.
So one animal, a hog, we were just talking about, by the worker's account, was found the following morning in the lower level. So when we talk about lower level, the slaughterhouse, we're talking about the basement. Its face was pressed against the concrete cap of the well. It was alive. It had not been there when the building was locked the night before, so no one knew how it got in there, and no one wanted to retrieve it. And by afternoon, it was just gone. There's also a smell that persisted in rooms that had been scrubbed clean. One worker wrote in a letter to his brother in 1931 that was actually preserved in a local historical archive. And it said, quote, "I don't know how to say this right, but there is something wrong with the basement of this place. Not wrong like a machine that needs fixing. Wrong like a room that has been used for something it shouldn't have been used for. I don't go down there alone anymore, and neither does anyone else, though we don't talk about it." End quote. He quit 2 months later.
Don't blame him.
And I'm going to use a lot of quotes in here, but it helps paint the picture. The building's last supervisor, he was a man named Walter Keene, who had managed the facility for the final 6 years of being open. He actually left behind a journal.
Ooh.
It was private, unaddressed, written in the margins of like a ledger format of a man who had no intention of someone reading it, but it's like he had to write it to like tell his story, if that makes sense. And the last entry is dated 3 weeks before the slaughterhouse officially closed. And this is a long one, but quote, "The lower level is not a place anymore. I don't know what it is. I have been managing this building for 6 years, and in 6 years I have watched it become something else, something that doesn't have a name in the vocabulary available to me. The well has been sealed for 30 years, and the sealing accomplished nothing. You cannot seal a mouth by covering it. You can only change what it breathes. We have been breathing with it for 40 years, and I believe it has been breathing with us, and I believe the relationship is not equal, and I believe the closing of this building is the only responsible action remaining to us. I have recommended it to the owners on practical grounds because the practical grounds are real and because the other grounds are not the kind of grounds I'm prepared to put in writing with my name attached. But the other grounds are the real grounds. The building needs to be empty. The well needs to be left alone. Whatever we have been feeding down there needs to go hungry for a while and see if that changes its disposition. I do not expect that it will. I leave this building tonight for the last time, and I will not drive past it, and I will not think about it, and I will do my best to forget what 40 years of blood and the limestone of northern Kentucky produces in the thing below the limestone. I do not expect to succeed. I have not told my wife." End quote.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the limestone.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a really bad combination, like with the blood sacrifice and the stone tape theory all going on at the same time. And if you guys
The-
don't know what I'm talking about with the stone tape theory, we were talking about it in our last episode. And it has to do with limestone deposits are able to like record tragic things that have happened or energies that surround those tragic things. It basically absorbs, I guess, that energy.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a lot.
And I want you to keep in mind his letter where it said that it needs to go hungry. So keep that in mind. Okay.
Okay.
And the workers who spent significant time in the lower level, they were becoming different. They were becoming quieter. They became less interested in the company, even of other people. Like they just seemed less interested in everything, like food, conversations, just ordinary pleasures. And their main interest was being alone, just sitting in silence and staring at nothing. Their families are the one that noticed this. So one wife, in a letter to her sister in Louisville dated October 1938, she wrote, quote, Harold has been different since he started in the lower level, and I don't know how to explain it to you except to say it's like he's always listening to something I cannot hear. He sits at the dinner table and his eyes go somewhere else, and when I ask him what he is thinking, he says nothing, and I believe him because nothing is what he looks like. I asked him to ask to be moved to back upstairs, and he said he would, and he hasn't, and I don't push it because when I push it, something in his face goes away, and I'm afraid of what will come back. End quote. Thankfully, the slaughterhouse closed in 1944. The official reason was economic wartime, disruptions of the supply chain, shifting market conditions, etc. Who knows the truth, though? And during the decade, the building sat vacant. The well was sealed to concrete poured over the mouth of it by a crew whose foreman left no record of why the job was ordered or who ordered it, but the job was done in 1952. And the crew never went back.
Again, don't blame them.
No. And during that time, obviously, I feel like empty buildings gonna gain attention. So people would see lights in the windows. People said they heard sounds from the buildings. Teenagers obviously were being dared to go inside and they would come out running. It said the real thing that happened in the building to a 16-year-old girl in 1951, she won't talk about it till this day. So who knows what happened to her?
I wonder why she doesn't want to talk about it. It's just too traumatic for her to bring it back up again.
So yeah, something happened. This was also really back in the day. So if you saw something, I think it was less talked about because people threw around the term like, "Oh, you're crazy."
Exactly. Yeah.
So I can see a lot of people keeping the information to themselves and sitting with it, and I can see how that can be traumatic by not talking about it.
Right.
Because again, this was the 1950s at this point.
Yeah. And still to this day, things like that happen all the time, especially
Mm-hmm.
with cases of women and being essayed or something like that. They almost feel like they can't say anything because people aren't going to believe them. So I'm sure it was especially true back then.
And what sucks about that is there's dates on it too, and that it shouldn't be. You're like, okay, well, that happened 10 years ago. It's too late, you know?
Yeah,
That needs to be changed.
definitely.
Okay, so the building, after it was vacant, I don't know why I can't say vacant tonight. It became a casino briefly, then it was a nightclub. And the casino owner, though, when he had it, this was in the 1960s, he began speaking in his sleep in a language his wife didn't recognize. So she wrote it down. So she wrote down the sounds phonetically and showed them to a professor at the University of Kentucky. And the professor went very still and said he needed to make some calls. But she never found out what calls that were made.
That's being really thorough on her part. Like she was determined to figure out what the hell was going on.
I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, this just sounds gibberish to me. So it must have
Yeah.
been like some type of language that made you like, what? That actually sounds like Latin or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Tony makes all kind of weird noises, and I'm just like, push him and roll him over so he'll stop. She's like taking notes and recording everything.
Well, yeah. But the fact that she wrote it down and like knew how to spell it or something, and the professor recognized it. So, I mean, if you want to get on Patreon, you know the weird shit that Ryan says in his sleep. So, I write that down. Does that count? So
I guess it
I can
kind of
make fun of him
does.
later.
I forgot about that.
There was this story he told me because I told him he should get a dream journal because he wakes up and he tells me his dreams and they're so bizarre. They're so weird. And I was like, get a dream journal, write it down. He's like, I'm too afraid to. I was like, why? He's like, because I guess this guy, he had a dream journal. And in the middle of the night, he wrote down pages and pages of a language that he doesn't remember at all. And that like scared him to not get a dream journal.
Hmm.
I just don't get one because I'm lazy.
I don't because I can never remember my dreams. It is so rare that I actually remember them anymore.
Well, this is supposed to be once you wake up, like in the middle of the night, you wake up, you roll over, you jot it down type of thing. But like I said, I don't have the
Mm,
energy to do that.
same. If I did that, I would never get back to sleep, and I already have that problem without doing that.
I
So,
know. It takes me forever to fall back asleep. So yeah, casino, then a nightclub, and then it sat empty again. And then in 1978, that's how we get to Bobby Mackey. And that's when he bought it. He was 31 years old. He knew the building had a history. He did not care. He thought the building had potential. You know, he's like, oh, well, the stage can go here, the bar could go there. It has a perfect acoustic personality of the low ceiling, room full of people.
he was on a mission.
Yeah, he saw a future
He
for the
didn't have,
place.
he didn't have time for all that bullshit.
Nope.
Hogwash, no pun intended.
No, like he was so sure that he signed the papers and bought it before he even walked through the whole entire building. Yeah,
Okay.
like he knew this is a place for me. But I feel like you and I, energy readers, walked in immediately be like, nope.
Yeah. Walk in, walk
Nope.
right back out.
Let's just keep
No
looking, honey.
thanks. This ain't it. This ain't it.
I think just Bobby Mackey I think has a very special personality. So on the first night,
Special.
special. I don't know how to explain his personality. That's why I said in the book you should go read the conversation he has with Jeremy because what he says from his point of view about everything, it's just very unsettling. So the first night he has the bar, he spent it alone. He's in the building, he's doing inventory, he's measuring rooms, he's making the list of like what needs to be fixed, etc. He needs to go to the basement. He opens the door. He stands at the top of the stairs and looks down into the dark and felt something that he has described in the few interviews where he has spoken about that first day as the building becoming aware of him. Like it wasn't threatening, not immediately, just aware. The way a room becomes aware of you when you enter it and everyone in it turns to look.
So he does have some, the word I'm looking for, not intuition.
Like some sixth sense, I'd say.
Yeah. He can feel energy to a degree.
To be fair, I feel like at this point anyone can feel energy
I think so.
from
Yeah.
this building. It's a very dark place and it's heavy. And so I think just going in you'd be like, there's something off about this place. If you can read energy or not, it's just there. I don't know how to explain it.
I imagine it how it felt to walk through the ridges. Like it's the energy, it's just there. It's heavy, it's dark.
It's been there
Can't
for a long
escape it.
time.
Been there
Mhm.
for a long time. Yeah.
But yeah, he needs to go to the basement, like I said. He goes down. He stands in front of the sealed well. He goes back upstairs. He ordered the keep out sign for the basement door the next morning.
Wow.
He also ordered a padlock the same day. And Bobby Mackey never went in that basement alone again. And it's not a very big basement. We're talking about a small basement. I don't know, like it's this by this. I don't know. But it's small. It may has like a few boxes and stuff in the corner. Like it's small.
So what does the well look like? Like does it look like a well or is it just more like a hole in the ground?
From the pictures I've seen, it kind of looks like a hole in the ground.
Okay.
But if you're like, that's a well, I would believe it. But yeah, there are pictures online for anyone that wants to go see it. But I'm sure we'll probably put pictures up on our social media. So anyway, so things were pretty normal for the first year. Sometimes the staff who arrived early or stayed late would bring their dogs in, and the dogs refused to go near that end of the room, and they would press themselves against the opposite wall, scared. So remember I said he got a padlock
Mm-hmm.
for the basement door, and then the basement door was sometimes found unlocked in the morning, and Bobby changed the combination. The door was found unlocked again. He changed it a second time, and he told himself it was a mechanical issue with the lack of it's an old lock, it's unreliable, the combination's just being passed around. There's got to be a practical explanation for this. So he went out and he bought a heavier lock, and then the door was found unlocked the following day.
Wow.
So after that he just stopped changing the lock. He's like, fuck it. So he would just start checking the door himself every night before he left. He would put his hand on the lock, like to confirm it was locked. And when he did that, it did stay locked the nights he checked it. And on the nights he didn't check it, the nights he left early, so the nights the manager closed up alone, it was sometimes found open in the morning and nothing disturbed in the basement. There was like no sign of entry or exit. And according to Carl Lawson, who we will get into later, he said that everyone that worked there, besides Bobby Mackey, they didn't have the combination to the lock. Only Mackey had it. He just told himself at this point that it would just stop on its own. It's fine. If it's not there, it'll go away on its own. It's cool. It's cool. And there's like other small stuff that would happen, like typical, like a bottle shifting on a shelf when no one was there, like a sudden cold spot in a room where you get the draft. And then there was the feeling that every employee that stayed long enough said that they felt like they were being watched, that something beneath them was watching. And I'm talking beneath the floorboards where the old well had once been.
No, thank you.
So Bobby Mackey hires a man named Carl Lawson, who I mentioned earlier. And after closing, Carl started sleeping at the bar. Bobby needed a good bartender, so he hired Carl because he came recommended by two people whose judgment Bobby trusted. And he did a really good interview. Bobby did not tell Carl about the basement. I'm sorry, did not tell him about the basement door. He told himself that there was nothing to tell. He's like, there's nothing to tell. Carl doesn't need to know. It's fine. Like I said, it's probably just a mechanical issue. Probably.
Right. With multiple locks. Okay.
He just told himself that telling an employee about a door that sometimes found itself unlocked was the kind of thing that would create, he said, unnecessary concern about nothing. Boy, he was wrong.
Uh-oh.
So Carl worked the Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday closing shifts. He was usually the last one in the building most nights. He was doing the inventory and the cleanup. He was fine closing alone until he wasn't. And Carl, he started spending the night at the bar because he told people it was just easier that way. And it took months for Carl to start hearing sounds coming from the basement.
It took months.
Months, yeah. And Carl mentioned it to another bartender, Darlene, who'd worked the building since it was still a roadhouse under the previous management. And she wasn't surprised. And she told him, don't go in the basement. And he's like, I don't go in the basement. And she just said, keep not going in the basement. So yeah, it took a year for Carl to come to Bobby about it. So on an opening on a Thursday morning, he stood in the doorway of Bobby's office and he's like, something's wrong with the basement. And Bobby's like, well, what do you mean? So Carl told him about the sounds, the vibration he felt through the floor near the basement on his closing nights. He told him the way the cold near the end of the bar was different from the cold everywhere else in the building. Then Bobby's like, I know. And that was the first time that he told someone about his experience when he first went to the basement. So Bobby had the conversation with Carl. It took a year, but he finally told Carl, hey, this is what happened to me when I entered the basement.
I wonder if part of him didn't want to tell anybody because he thought that maybe they'd think he was crazy.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was something you didn't really talk about much.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if he didn't talk about it, it wasn't there. Like, just, you know what I mean? You close that part off because you're like, you know what? It's in my head. It's just a mechanical problem. Or maybe I'm the only one that's senseless and I don't want to concern anybody.
I would be the complete opposite. I would immediately think something was going on that shouldn't be going on.
Oh, I would immediately call you.
Yeah.
Jessica, guess what happened to me?
Time to investigate. The world's shittiest investigation ever. You're frozen in a corner and falling down.
Yeah, we would not do
Passing
good with
out.
this investigation.
No.
But I'd be like, oh my God, I was at one bar, I was at the end of the bar and it was cold. And I went to the other end of the bar and it was warm. How do you explain that? I'd be like, spirits.
Absolutely.
They're among us.
They're watching.
But at least he finally had the conversation with Carl. And so Carl's like, okay, I won't go in the basement. And for many weeks, he didn't go in the basement until he did.
Why? What did he need from the basement?
It's not what he needed.
It's what he wanted.
It's like something was pulling him. So,
Don't follow. Don't go.
Carl.
Coral.
That's probably what he heard. Come down here, Carl. Carl.
Coral. Coral.
Rick, is that you? Come down here.
Oh, no.
I'm surprised it took us that long.
Me too. Very surprised.
So we heard Rick Grimes calling him. That's why he went. Yeah. All right. Back from the side quest. So one night at 2:17 a.m.
Rick Grimes started. That would be terrifying.
Just quit being so immature, Jessica. Jeez.
Never gonna happen.
I'm telling a scary story.
Okay. Put your voice back on when you do it again.
ASMR on one night at 2:17 a.m. and you're gone. That's creepy. Why do you disappear at 2:17 a.m.? I love how we're always like, don't make fun of the spirits, be kind and respectful, and we're just like, Carl.
And then a mysterious third track starts recording.
Yes. And we keep having technical issues. So
Oh man.
Creepy shit
Yeah,
is happening.
apologies.
We're
Apologies
sorry.
for all the technical shit going on. I look like in the last video, I looked like very pixelated and I can tell this one's going to be the same. So,
We have a lot of technical issues over at Weekly Bazaar because that's just who we are.
because we're taking the crown for the most haunted podcast in America. We're
And once it
coming for
starts
you.
haunting you guys, we definitely will become one. I want you guys to remember this time, though. All jokes aside, I need you to remember 217. You got to remember that time. And we know this time because he noted it himself because he looked at his watch specifically when he went to the basement. 217.
Okay. AM.
Yes. So he wanted to mark a moment, is what he said.
Right before the witching hour.
Yeah, and also in my mind, it's like he knew shit was about to happen. Because that's what I do sometimes. I'll look at my time to be like, what time is it? Because I know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or if I see something, I look at the time and be like, oh, I saw that at this time. And he went to the basement because he said it's not because he wanted to, but more like he was pulled, like I said, to go into the basement. And when he went up to the basement door, the padlock was open.
Shit's getting real again.
He said that he knew the well was sealed and has been sealed for 30 years, but he could feel it breathing underneath. He said it was like a heartbeat you could hear through a wall.
That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. And he put his hand on the concrete and he felt it vibrate like the way a transformer hums on a telephone pole.
No.
He said he knelt down and when he touched it, he said it was inside him. And he stayed that way for quite some time.
Just hand to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And when he came back upstairs, the bar stools had been rearranged in a circle. He was the only one there at that time. It reminds me of Poltergeist when the mom looks away and looks back and all the furniture is all over the kitchen,
Oh,
on top of the
yeah.
table. That's what I'm thinking of.
I'm getting serious vortex vibes or something.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't even think about that. Almost like a
Yeah.
portal, though.
Mm-hmm.
So a few months later, Carl, he changed into someone else. He would speak in voices that witnesses swore were not his. And more than once, employees found him in the basement near the sealed well. He would be crouched in the darkness, carrying on hushed, urgent conversations, like he was talking to someone that no one else could see.
The voice thing is very weird. And how it's recurring. It's definitely makes me feel that this is demonic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
Ugh.
very... I think it's past demonic. It's worse than demonic. Because then he started getting violent. On at least 3 separate occasions, he would lash out, and not from someone that had too much to drink, but more like there was a purpose behind it. The best way to describe it is that he wasn't acting impulsive. He was following instructions down by something that wasn't there. And it's like he believed he was speaking, this thing was speaking to him, and so he obeyed to what it would tell him to do.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. And over the following months, the staff of Bobby Mackey's Music World, they developed an informal protocol for managing Carl. So meaning you would learn his tells. So the slight change in posture, his shoulders dropping differently, there would be a loosening in his jaw. His voice would drop a register, and his eyes would always go to the basement door. And why I find this so creepy, I don't know, but when the staff would see his tells, they called it Bobby. And when Bobby would come out, he would talk to Carl, even using Carl's name over and over. So in third person.
That's strange. Why? Why Bobby?
They gave his tells a name because be like, okay, he's not acting Carl. Bobby come out to play or something. He's the one playing now. I don't know. I don't like it regardless. I don't like that. I don't
No.
know what about it just really creeps me out. It's almost saying like Carl's not home right now.
This reminds me, side quest. This reminds me of when I was a kid and my sister would torture me. I think I've told you this before, where she acted like she was somebody else and that she was taken away and replaced by, she called herself Chrissy. And she would say that. She'd be like, Michelle's not here. I'm Chrissy. And I would be freaked the hell out. And I'd go and tell on her every time. And I believed it. But I'd go running and crying. I'd be like, Michelle's gone. Chrissy took her.
To be fair, you scared her with your dolls, so
Yeah, I did. Payback's a bitch.
yeah. Karma. Some nights it was so bad that they would send customers home. And Bobby Mackey called a priest in the fall of 1980. I mean, he did ask Carl if it was okay, and Carl was like, yeah. And he didn't make this decision lightly. He had watched Carl deteriorate for over 2 years.
Wow.
He did try other things, like he tried doctors and counselors, but they were all unsuccessful.
I mean, 2 years, that's a long time to tolerate that kind of behavior. So
Yeah.
can't blame him.
And to keep him around, like he really liked Carl, so that says a lot that he kept him when he was being bad for business, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Coral?
this wasn't the Carl he knew. And I think he knew that, okay, something's seriously wrong here. And that's why I gotta call a priest. So one night when the bar was closed, the priest comes. Bobby, he told the staff there was a private event and he had not elaborated. So the staff, they didn't ask any further questions. And the priest's name we don't know because Bobby never disclosed publicly what his name was. So the priest, he speaks to Carl. They speak for about an hour before anything else. So they're just talking. They sat across from each other at the bar with 2 cups of coffee between them, and the priest asked Carl about his life, like his childhood in northern Kentucky, his mother, the church he attended as a boy, etc. And I guess this is a standard practice for what the priests do, and the point is to establish the person before you address what has attached to that person. So basically, you can locate the human being in their own history, their own identity, because what you are going to do in the hours that follow requires that person to be as present and anchored as possible.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And then Bobby, he just sat at that, like the far end of the bar and drank coffee, and he didn't talk. He just let them talk. He just stayed quiet. We also have 2 witnesses that sat near the door. Their names are not in this account by their request, but they were there because the priest required witnesses. He required people who could, like corroborate what occurred, who could speak to it afterward and like provide testimonial foundation if they needed to. So it's like not just documented, but they're actually witnesses that saw this. So at 8 p.m., the priest sits down his coffee. He looks at Carl and he asks, "Are you ready?" And when he asked that question, like Carl's face just dropped. And there is a handwritten account that still exists today. The priest noted the change in Carl's expression and wrote beside it 2 words, "It knows."
Ew.
And Carl responds with, "I don't know, but let's go." Why the hell not? So they all go into the basement. The priest goes to the well in the corner and he's like assessing what he needs to do. He's taking inventory, like what needs to be done. And what followed in that basement over the next 4 years has been described in fragments by the priest, Bobby Mackey, and 2 other witnesses who were present, and they have never been named, like I said. That's when Carl says something. He says something not in his own voice, and the priest stops. He stops what he's doing, and he's like, "Can you repeat what you said?" And it did. The priest account records that what it said was in a language he did not recognize, like it wasn't Latin, it wasn't Greek, it wasn't Hebrew. He just wrote it down. And he did show it later to 3 separate linguists, and all 3 said the same thing in different words, that they could not place it. They could not connect it to any known language.
Wow.
One of them said, off the record, that it sounded pre-linguistic, that it sounded like something that existed before language had the structure that language requires, before grammar, before the organizing principles that separate language from sound.
Yeah, that's very unsettling.
It's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The priest also wrote in his account, it spoke first. I was not prepared for it to speak first. Ugh, I don't like that either.
No, it was prepared. It was ready.
So it's a little uncomfortable, but Carl spoke in at least 3 different voices that weren't his own. And there were times when Carl was coherent and he knew what was going on. So it's like he would go into a voice of someone else, like back to himself, like back and forth.
Oh.
One of the voices was very old. And when I say old in a way that the priest later said reminded him of recordings he had heard of languages that no longer existed, languages that had died before living memory, languages that had left no descendants and no speakers, and that should not have been accessible to a 30-year-old bartender from Kentucky under any circumstances that the priest was prepared to rationally account for.
Portal.
And then, what?
Portal.
Wait till we get to the 3rd voice. That one fucks with me. So the priest wrote this in his handwriting. Quote, he described the contents of the well in terms that I am not prepared to reproduce in a document that may be read by people who are not prepared for what he described. I will say only that what he described was consistent with everything I had been told about the history of the site and considerably more detailed than I had been prepared for, and that if what he described is accurate, the well has been on active site for considerably longer than the documented history of the region. Considerably longer, end quote. So the 3rd voice that came out of Carl, it came about the 2-hour mark during this exorcism. And this is the voice that the witnesses found most difficult to describe afterward. The 3rd voice was a woman's. Young, clear, speaking in English with a flat Midwestern accent that placed her origin somewhere in the corridor between Indiana and Kentucky. She said her name was Pearl.
I knew it. She's back.
The priest asked the voice what it wanted, and the voice said, and this is in the priest account word for word, like quoted directly, I want what was taken back. I want what was given returned. I want the door closed. The priest asked how the door could be closed, and the voice said, it can't, but it can be left alone. It should be left alone. The ones who fed it are dead. Let it go hungry. Hungry things sleep.
Wow.
Remember, like how back to the slaughterhouse where he was like, it's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 2nd time we've heard that.
So I guess now what it's feeding on is Carl, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like possessing him, yes.
Yeah.
But to be fair, and we'll go into that later too, Pearl is, I believe her to be a good entity, despite what happened to her. I believe she's a good entity trying to help them.
Seems like it.
And the priest also wrote in his account, I believe this was genuine. I believe this was her. I have no framework for what I believe, and I am aware of the inadequacy of that position, and I am stating it anyway, because I was there and I heard it. And the alternative to stating it is pretending that what happened in that basement was something other than what it was. So Good thing though, Carl, he came fully back at 10:47 p.m. and he just sat on the basement floor and Bobby sat beside him. The witnesses stood near the wall with the expressions of people who have witnessed something they will spend the rest of their lives trying to find the right words for, and will eventually conclude that there are no words. They don't exist,
Right.
basically. Like, how do you describe something like that?
So after that, he was back to normal for good, or just in the
I'll say
moment?
normal-ish. Like, do you
Better.
ever really come back from something like that?
True. Forever changed, but he was him again.
Yeah. The priest sat on the floor across from Carl, and he just looked at him for a long time. How do you feel? He says. Empty, Carl said, but mine. He
That's
wrote in
fucked.
his account, it's not great. It's not great.
I get it though, because it's probably one of those things where even though clearly it wasn't good for him, there was a part of him that became attached to it.
I mean, that does make sense.
It's almost like what's that called when people start to get really attached to their abductors? There's like a term
Oh,
for it.
yeah. Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Attached to the thing that's actually hurting you and harming you.
Ugh. Empty. So the priest, he wrote in his account later that night in the last entry before the sealed document. So he wrote down empty but mine. And he said, I have heard many things in this work. I have not heard anything more important than that. The restoration of a person to themselves, to their own specific and irreplaceable selfhood, is the only victory available in this work. It is not a complete victory. The well is still there. The door, as she said, cannot be closed. But Carl Lawson is himself again. He can reach the wheel for now. That is enough. For now, that is everything. And what Carl Lawson remembered later, it was in fragments that he was trying to like reassemble after the exorcism because he spent weeks in a hospital bed.
Oh.
And like during the exorcism, he told the priest with his own voice when he had small moments, like I said, he would come to and his voice was available to him. He would say, I can still see, I'm still here. It's like I just can't reach the wheel. And so this is quote, I could see everything. I was watching from somewhere just behind my own eyes, like watching through glass. I could feel my hands moving. I could feel my mouth making shapes. I could feel myself walking from room to room. I just couldn't make any of it stop. The worst part wasn't the things it made me do. The worst part was that it knew I was watching. It knew I was still in there, and it didn't care. I wasn't cruel about it. That's what I keep coming back to. It wasn't cruel. It was just completely, absolutely indifferent, like I was a coat it had put on, end quote. So you have to understand this isn't the first exorcism the priest has done. He's done prior exorcisms, and he actually goes on later to do more exorcisms. But he said that Carl's case was the only one that made him scared. Because when Carl, like I said, would have his moments of being lucid, it's just what he would say about the well. Like Carl described its age. He said it was here before there was a word for here. So I think it was just old, and that's what really scares the priest.
That's saying something for sure. He's
That's what
scared.
I'm saying. So there was actually a lawsuit that was filed in 1994 claiming the demonic forces present on the property had seized control of a human being without his consent. And it took Carl 16 years to file this lawsuit. And it took him that long because he had to build himself carefully. So he worked other jobs, he stayed away from bars, he talked to the priest occasionally, he would talk to Bobby Mackey occasionally. With the lawsuit, it named Bobby Mackey's Music World as a defendant, It alleged that the property's known history of paranormal activity constituted a failure to provide a safe working environment.
It's a long shot.
Yeah, well, the argument was that Bobby Mackey, he knew about the property's history before he purchased it. He knew about the well. He knew about the basement. He knew that the basement represented a specific hazard to the people he employed there. He hung a keep out sign on the basement door. So the filing argued that itself was evidence of knowledge, of awareness, that something in that basement required restriction. He's not wrong, right?
He's definitely not.
So he failed to warn Carl. He failed to protect him. That was the argument. That's why he shouldn't have blown it off. And what the good thing was, though, the court took the case seriously. It wasn't a joke to them.
I was
They took it
wondering.
seriously. The priest, he sat in the witness box under oath. He described that what he had seen, what he heard. He remembered all his documents.
Yep.
Everything that happened in that basement on October of 1980.
I'm amazed that he was able to remain anonymous.
I'm anonymous.
Anonymous, though, especially if he appeared in court.
Yeah. But remember, a lot of people, they say allegedly exorcism, like I said in the very beginning, so keep that in mind. That's why I said I believe this is real. I'm sorry, I do.
It sounds real to me. Absolutely. Carl, I believe you.
So like I said, they took it seriously, but the case was ultimately settled out of court. So like what dollar amount was eventually agreed upon, it's locked in an envelope somewhere that has never been opened for public examination. So we actually don't know the final verdict.
So
Bobby
many
Mackey,
secrets.
yeah, he still opens the doors on Friday nights. But Carl, he's never gone back. He doesn't even go to Wilder, Kentucky. He won't even drive past the building.
I wouldn't either.
He keeps distance from the particular stretch of ground. I would too.
Mm-hmm.
He did get his life back, but there are nights, he said, in the rare moments that he does speak about this, that he wakes up at 2 a.m. and it's always 2 a.m. with a sensation of a pulse moving through the mattress beneath him.
Oh.
A vibration of something very old and very awake. And on those nights, Carl gets up, he turns on every light in the house and sits at his kitchen table and drinks coffee until the pulse fades. So he sits in the light with his coffee and he waits for the morning.
Aw. Poor Carl.
And Bobby Mackey said Carl was the best bartender I ever had.
This completely changed him.
I don't think Bobby Mackey was even mad about the lawsuit. I think they're still on good terms.
Yeah, I'm sure he couldn't blame him. He saw everything he went through, cared for him deeply, it seems, so.
Yeah, and Jeremy, again, the author, had the conversation with Bobby Mackey in person, and like I said, it's very unsettling. But the one thing that he does tell Jeremy about Carl that I do want to put in here was, quote, "I want to say that first because it gets lost in the story," and that's him being the best bartender he's ever had. The story turns him into a victim, into a case study, and he was a person first. He was good at his work, and he was good to the people around him. And what happened to him was not his fault and was not something he could have prevented. And I have carried that for 45 years, end quote. I think we're going to stop here because we still have quite a bit of information. Probably how do you still have information about this place? We do. We do.
Yeah, I literally was like, oh, I thought you were done.
Nope. Got some more interesting stuff about it.
Cool.
Told you. It's a deep rabbit hole, my friend.
We like our deep holes around here.
Heyo.
Nasty. Can't take me anywhere.
Yeah, grow up, Jessica.
You keep telling me that, but it's never going to happen. I mean, look at my cup.
I know, I love The Nightmare Before Christmas, though. That's a millennial
too.
thing. You can never be too
Yeah.
old. Like, I saw Toy Story 5. Oh my god, talk about nostalgia.
Yeah.
It was so cute and so sad.
To infinity and beyond.
Go watch Toy Story 5. Highly recommend it.
I've only seen the first one, maybe the second one.
Everyone but Jessica. If you've seen all of them so far, go see 5. If you see 5 without watching the other ones, it's not going to make sense.
Okay. I need to watch them all.
You do.
Well, guys, thanks again for being here for another episode with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you. You can find us on all the social medias at Weekly Bazaar Podcast. You can email us if you have a story that you'd like us to share, weeklybazarpodcast@gmail.com. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/weeklybazaar. If you'd like to get some behind the scenes, some blooper reels, some chit chat about our weeks, want to get to know us a little bit better, that's the kind of stuff we post over there.
Stay spooky, stay safe.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Oh, yeah.
And we will see you next week. If it's weird,
we're going to talk about it.